Hey everyone, this is going to be a track walk at Watkins Glen International in the boot configuration using the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. Um, First I'm going to show you the lap in cockpit view, then I'm going to show you the lap in chase view, and then we'll go ahead and do some track analysis. And now here's the lap in chase view. Alright, so for your reference, that was a 148.5. Now, coming here into turn 1, the brake marker you're looking for is probably around the 300, reaching peak brake pressure around the 250 mark. Now you want to obviously stay as far to the left as possible to open up the corner. I will say that for the most part, most of the corners at the Glen, they're all single corners. Corner straight, aren't really any complexes except for you can kind of say the S's, but that's just pretty much a full throttle section. and the bus stop, but otherwise they're all just individual corners. So this track truly rewards slow in and fast out and late apexes. If you go to take the corners too hot, well, you're just going to compromise your exit, and there's just so many straights that are fairly long between the corners. It's just going to eat up your lap time. So going here into turn one, we start turning in a little bit after the 100 marker, and now you want to trail brake all the way into the corner, and you want to try to pick up the throttle pretty much right before you hit this curbing. You're looking at apex on the lower end of the curbing too. You'll see there's kind of two levels here, and the first level is flat and even with the pavement, and the second level is a little bit up. You hit the top level, and it's going to bounce your car around. It's only going to compromise your exit. So you want to hit the lower level, and you want to get on the gas before you even hit it, nice and early, because as you can see, there's a lot of camber in the track here, so your tires are just going to dig right into the pavement, and you can get a really good exit out of turn one. Pick up the throttle right before, then go full throttle. You can come fairly far out here without getting an off track, and pretty much this is a good line to take with like your right side tires kind of either still a little bit on the curbing or right to the right side of it. But you can go wider here without getting an off track, but obviously then you're just lengthening your line, and you're going to just slow yourself down. And if you do need to go further wide, it probably means you went in too hot into turn one. Like I said, this track really rewards slow in, fast out. So if you went into turn one too fast, got on the throttle, ended up having to swing out really far wide here, and then having to bring the car all the way back without getting onto the grass, you're gonna end up being slower up through the S's, and that's your full throttle section here is so long now that you're gonna compromise your lap time a lot. So slow and fast out, that's what you really need to remember at this track. Now as we continue here, when you bring it back, you'll see right here the lighter patch of green right there. That part of the grass is not slippery. You do not get an off track for that. If you go onto the darker green, that's where you're going to get your off track. So let's bring it back. Then up through the S's here, you're going to come to the inside here, hug the corner, late up apex on this curbing, stick to the yellow line, then bring it in, and late apex this curbing again. Don't hit the curbings. They're just going to make you scrub off a little bit of speed because you're going to tilt your car up a little bit, and it's not necessary. Stick to the right side here, and then once that curbing ends, you start to bring it over to the left. And now we're going to be heading into the bus stop. Now your brake marker here is going to be, you're looking for the 400. Your peak pressures probably a little bit after that. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I'm reaching peak pressure after the 300, but you want to kind of look for the 400. If you aim for the 3, you're probably going to end up braking a little late. Now, key to the bus stop is number 1, to not scrub off too much speed to it. You really want to carry as much speed as you can through it, and you want to definitely use up as much of the curbing as possible to straighten out your line through there and have a very shallow curve through it. And remember, whenever you're turning, you're going to have to let off the brakes a little bit. Always then increase your brake pressure whenever you can straighten out your wheel. So what we're going to do, you'll see, is we're going to brake here. We're over 50% brake pressure right now. We're almost 60%. We're still in a straight line right now. As I turn into the corner, I'm basically going to try to line up curbing 1 and 2. And while I'm turning in, I'm going to let off the brakes. And then while I'm taking the curbing, you're gonna have to be very light with your wheel and pedals. So you're trailing the brake just very lightly, but then I should still be carrying enough speed where as I land on the pavement between curbings 1 and 2, I'm going to increase my brake pressure again to scrub off a little bit more speed, then come back off the brakes as I'm taking the curbing. And then once I land off the second curbing, that's when I get back on the throttle. So we'll take it really slow here. As I'm turning the wheel a little bit into the curb, coming off the brakes, trailing it in. Now I'm lining up 1 and 2, take the curbing, increase my brake pressure a little bit more, scrub off a little more speed, then trail it into the second curbing. And then once I land off of this curbing, that's when I can start to pick up the throttle. And again, you're going to want to straight line as much as possible, curbings 3 and 4 here, so that you can go back to full throttle. Now, again, as you saw back there, when I was on the 4th curbing, again, I backed off the throttle a little bit. They're going to upset the car, so you just got to keep your wheel and pedals light. But once I land off of that one, again, I'm just going to go full throttle for a quick second here to pick up a little bit more speed again. And then, as we come into the carousel here, I am going to let off the throttle and trail the brakes all the way through to keep the nose down. One thing everyone needs to remember is we're in a 911 here. Our engine's in the back. If your front is light, if you're either on throttle or turning and carrying a lot of speed, you can wash out wide. So we want to just keep, as you can see, I have, what does it say now, 7% brake pressure. So, we're talking, when we're trail braking here, it's just very light, 5-10%. It's enough where your tires have enough grip to turn, but also have a little bit of grip to slow the car down very slightly. But the purpose here is simply just to keep the nose down. You'll see, like, if you just tap the brakes ever so gently, all of a sudden your nose will grip up and you can make the turn a lot more easily. So we continue through here. And then this is where you're going to have to just practice a little bit. It really depends on how much speed you've scrubbed off. But at some point right after this exit road right here, at some point we're going to basically pick up the throttle. If you went in a little hot here, you may want to wait another 10-20 feet before you pick up the throttle, or you may pick up the throttle but not go all the way up to 70% like I did here. You're gonna have to you're basically gonna have to feel it out where you're gonna get back on the throttle here. But we're gonna pick up the throttle and try to get to 100% as soon as possible. And basically what you're aiming to do is carry so much speed that you're basically washing out right to this outside curbing here. If you pick up the throttle too early, you're gonna hit the wall. You don't pick up the throttle if you pick up the throttle too early, you're gonna hit the wall. If you don't pick up the throttle early enough, you probably won't need to go out that far wide, in which case you just wasted some of the track. Like I said, all the turns here, it's all about slow in, fast out, and also maximizing every inch of the track. Like I said, there aren't really that many complexes here. It's just corner straight, so you want to go full throttle as early and quickly as possible and just maximize every inch of the track that you can. So now we're going to bring it over to the right here. Now this is another corner that you kind of have to feel your initial brake point. There aren't any brake markers here or anything. You'll see once I start playing the video that the track changes color. It gets dark at one point. You're braking a little bit before that. Now obviously, depending on how good your exit was from the carousel, you may be going a little bit faster, maybe a little bit slower, so your brake marker is going to change a little bit here. And there's no reference point that I can say you're really trying to necessarily aim for. Maybe where that fencing on the right side that we're looking at right now changes from black, the tire wall to the blue fencing. Maybe you can kind of look at that, but it's kind of like where I let off the brakes here. I'm in the gas, and then I hit the brakes. And now one thing a lot of people get taught is to stay out wide here and slow the car down, and then bring it into the corner to take your late apex. I have done that, and I feel like it makes the length of your track too long. I've done a lot of different lines through here, and from the line I'm going to show you now, that's where my delta seems to be the best. And I've watched a lot of races here, IMSA, Super Trofeo, Mobile and Super Cup, and what they normally do is what I'm showing you here. Let's just back up a second. So you're going to start braking, and then instead of staying out wide, you're going to come into the corner as soon as you can to scrub off some speed, and then just let off the brakes and bring it in, trail it in. You have a lot of camber here, enough at least where you can have your front tires really grip as you're scrubbing off some speed, and just keeping the nose down, and you can make the turn fairly easily. Just be careful not to hit the brakes too hard, because then you can have your rear come around on you, because the track is falling away. It's downhill, so you're a little light, but it's not that bad. But you can basically go in pretty hot and just trail brake, keep the nose down, and slow down while you're coming through. And then once you feel like you've gotten you've scrubbed off enough speed, you can then pick up the throttle. And again, we're still taking a late apex here. This is at the very end of that curbing that we're picking up the throttle, and getting a nice clean exit out of this turn. So just bring it all the way out to the right, and then bring it back to the left for the next right-hander. Again, same concept here. We're gonna brake late. Your brake marker here is about the 150 marker, I'd say. And now the beauty of this corner is that it's uphill, so our suspension and tires are getting compressed into the pavement. We have a lot of grip, which is why we can brake really late, and we can brake as we're going up the hill into the turn. So I'm still going to be downshifting into third and all the way into second while I'm still going up the hill, and I'm going to be on the brakes, trail braking, still scrubbing off speed and slowing down while I'm going up the hill. So we're downshift, brake, trail it all the way in. We're still braking, scrubbing off speed. And then again, we're taking a late apex. We want a really nice exit. So once I pick up the throttle, I'm trying to go to full throttle as soon as possible. And then we just get a nice clean exit out. Again, use all the track. You're going to see there's a little bit of pavement to the left of the white line. You want to use it. Straighten up that wheel as much as you can so that you can, be full throttle as soon as you can. It's literally, I just feel like, the key to every single corner of this track, which we're going to see again in this corner. Your brake marker here is going to be about the 200 marker. Again, it's pretty much the same thing. We're going to, scrub off speed, as much speed as we can in a straight line, trail off into the corner. We're going down a second here again. We're going to want a nice late apex right around here, and then we go full throttle as soon as we can, using up all the curbing. A lot of people just want to try to take these corners faster. But again, all you're going to do is just sacrifice your exit, because you're not going to be able to go full throttle as soon as you can. If you slow down the car first and then angle the car right, and then just pick up the throttle as much as you can and go full throttle as soon as you can. Now this is another corner where we don't really have a brake marker. We are going uphill here, so we're compressing into the pavement so we can shave off a lot of speed really quickly on the right here. But then as we crest, the car is going to get very light. If you try to take this corner wide for the late apex, you're gonna probably spin out by having your rear come around on you. What you're gonna want to do is right here. You're gonna, let's see, when did I start braking? There's really not much of a brake marker here. Just once you kind of see that little curve in the road when the uphill increases a little bit, that's kind of where I'm braking. Scrub off as much speed as you can, and then immediately start to bring it into the right here. Like I said, right around that kind of horizon of the road that you can kind of see is where it crests and the car gets very light. So you want to slow down the car a lot before you get to that point. So we just want to bring it in to the inside here to shorten the line, and just trail the brake through. And again, late apex, which is going to be right around here, where the curbing kind of juts out right there. That's pretty much your apex point, and at that point you're gonna try to go to full throttle if you can. Now coming here into turn 10, it's pretty much around the 150, 125 marker is pretty much when we are going to lift. And again, just trail the brake in, and we're at this point we're not even doing it necessarily to go speed. We're really just doing it just to keep the nose down. So as you see here, I'm probably going to have, I don't know, 5% brake pressure just to keep the nose down, and then you pick up the throttle as soon as you can, late apex, and go full throttle out here. You definitely want to be going full throttle when you're going out onto this curbing, just to help the rear rotate. If you're hesitant and you don't go full throttle, it's possible to wash out wide if you're carrying a lot of speed. But you can definitely use the rear to rotate with this car. So just make sure that you're going full throttle here. Use up all the curbing, bring it back over to the left. We're braking about right after that tire wall here is when start to pick up the brakes, and then you're going to see here the grass starts to go away from you. This is about where you start to turn in, and again, trail the brakes in, slow the car down, don't overcook the corner, and then just late apex it and get on the throttle as early as you can, and go full throttle as soon as you can. Just track out again, use all the track, and then bring it out onto the front straight. And that is a lap at Watkins Glen International in the boot configuration using the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car.